Most men do not lose opportunities with women because they lack confidence, money, or good looks. They lose them because they fail to recognize desire when it is quietly placed right in front of them. This is one of the most misunderstood truths in male-female dynamics. And it is the core message of this video. Women rarely express sexual interest through direct words. They do not announce it, confess it, or make it obvious in the way many men expect. Instead, attraction reveals itself through behavior, energy, and subtle shifts in presence that most men were never taught to notice. A woman's desire begins in her body long before it ever reaches her mouth. Her eyes change, her tone changes, her movements soften, and the way she positions herself around you becomes intentional. Yet most men are waiting for verbal permission, a clear signal, or a dramatic moment that never comes. While they hesitate, overthink, or second-guess themselves, the opportunity quietly expires. This content exists to correct that blindness. There are 6 specific signs that appear again and again when a woman wants a man sexually. And most men overlook them, not because they are foolish, but because no one ever explained how attraction actually works. Once you understand these signs, you will begin to see interactions differently. Situations that once felt confusing will suddenly make sense, and you will realize how often desire speaks without words. From this point forward, the goal is not to make you aggressive or reckless, but aware. Awareness changes everything, and it all begins with the first place desire reveals itself before anywhere else: her body, and especially her eyes. The first sign almost every man underestimates is the change in her body language, especially through her eyes. At first, a woman may look at you casually, the same way she looks at anyone else in the room. But when attraction begins, her eyes stop merely observing and start studying. She scans your face while you speak, notices your mouth, your hands, the way your shoulders move. This is not accidental. It is curiosity mixed with safety, and it is one of the earliest signals of desire. Along with her eyes, her entire body begins to soften. Her breathing slows, her voice drops slightly in tone, and her movements become smoother and more deliberate. You may notice her feet and hips subtly turning toward you, even when there is no practical reason for it. She leans in while talking, even though there is already enough space. These are unconscious behaviors, and that is exactly why they matter. They are harder to fake than words. She may begin touching her hair, adjusting her clothes, or brushing away invisible dust. These gestures are not nervous habits. They are signals of self-awareness. She is highlighting her femininity and inviting your attention without openly asking for it. In that moment, her body is communicating something her mouth has not yet said: I feel safe with you, and I am curious about you. Men who rely only on verbal cues miss this entirely. Attraction always speaks through the body first. Words come later, if they come at all. Once you learn to read this language, you stop waiting for permission that was already given silently. And once you recognize this shift, you will start noticing something else that often follows closely behind the way her conversation begins to change. The second sign appears when her words quietly drift into sexual territory. Even though the conversation may still sound casual on the surface. At first, you may be talking about ordinary things. But then she introduces a topic that carries a subtle charge. She might mention that her last relationship was complicated, or comment that men often misunderstand what women actually enjoy in intimacy. These statements are not random. They are deliberate openings. A woman does not voluntarily talk about sex with a man she feels no attraction toward. When she does, She is testing the emotional and psychological waters. She wants to see how you respond, whether you become awkward, immature, judgmental, or overly excited. Your reaction tells her whether she can feel safe moving forward with you. This is not about explicit detail. It is about comfort, tone, and awareness. She may speak about past experiences in a reflective way, sharing what she once struggled with or what she learned over time. When she says something like, she was not always confident in bed, or that many men think they know how to touch a woman, but really do not, she is revealing vulnerability while also setting a standard beneath the surface. She is asking whether you understand intimacy beyond ego and performance. Many men shut this down without realizing it. They change the subject, make a crude joke, or respond too cautiously out of fear of misreading the moment. Others rush forward and make it uncomfortable. Both reactions fail the test. What she is really doing is building a bridge, slowly and safely, towards something physical. If you can stay grounded and present, the connection deepens, and when that happens, she often moves from words to actions, creating situations where being together becomes more private. The third sign reveals itself through her actions rather than her words. She begins creating opportunities for the two of you to be alone. These moments often appear casual or practical on the surface, but they are carefully engineered. She might ask you to come inside for a moment, suggest stepping outside because it is too noisy, or ask for help carrying something small that does not truly require assistance. These are not coincidences. They are invitations. In social settings, she may slowly separate from her friends, drift away from the group, or walk at a pace that keeps you beside her. She is not trying to escape the environment. She is trying to isolate the connection. A woman only does this when she feels safe with you and when she hopes something more will happen. Privacy creates possibility, and she understands this instinctively. By the time you are alone together, a decision has already been made on an emotional level. She is no longer asking herself whether she is interested. She is now observing you. She is watching to see if you can remain calm, confident, and present without rushing or freezing. This is the moment where many men collapse under pressure by either hesitating too long or pushing too hard. What she wants is leadership, not force. She wants to feel that you can guide the interaction naturally while respecting her comfort. If you cannot do that, the window quietly closes. If you can, the energy deepens. And when it does, her imagination begins to take over, often revealing itself through a very specific and almost impossible to hide behavior involving her gaze. The fourth sign is subtle, intimate, and extremely revealing once you know how to recognize it. Her eyes begin to drop to your lips. It happens quickly and repeatedly. She looks into your eyes. Then her gaze slips down for a brief moment. She catches herself, looks away, and then does it again. This pattern is not conscious planning. It is imagination surfacing through the body. When a woman's eyes move to a man's lips, she's not thinking about conversation. She is imagining sensation. She is picturing what it would feel like to kiss you, to be close to you, to cross the invisible line that separates tension from contact. This is why the moment often feels heavy with silence. That silence is not rejection or uncertainty. It is wordless permission. Many men panic in this space. They feel the shift but do not understand it. So they fill the silence with nervous talking or retreat emotionally. Others misinterpret it as disinterest because she is not speaking. In reality, this is one of the loudest nonverbal signals of attraction a woman gives. Her body is already ahead of her words at this stage. Desire is present. But vulnerability is also present. She is exposed, even if she says nothing. How you respond in this moment matters deeply. Calm presence and grounded confidence keep the door open. Pressure or insecurity closes it. And sometimes, when the tension reaches this point, she may say something that sounds like hesitation, but is actually the opposite. This leads directly to the next sign most men misunderstand. The fifth sign often confuses men the most because it sounds like resistance when it is actually permission. She says a familiar line, something like, "I don't usually do this." On the surface, it appears as hesitation or uncertainty. And many men either stop completely or try to argue against it. Both reactions miss the meaning beneath the words. What she is really saying is that she wants to move forward, but she needs to protect her self-image. This sentence is a shield. It allows her to preserve dignity while signaling that you are a special exception. The subtext is clear: I am choosing you, and I need to feel respected in that choice. She is not asking to be convinced. She is asking to feel safe in her decision. This is not innocence, and it is not rejection. It is desire wrapped in self-protection. She wants reassurance that you will not judge her, rush her, or later use the moment against her. When a man responds with calm understanding instead of pressure or disbelief, attraction deepens rather than collapses. Many men sabotage themselves here by reacting emotionally. They either pull away out of fear of doing the wrong thing, or they push harder, turning a delicate moment into something heavy. The correct response is neither retreat nor aggression. It is patience, confidence, and restraint. When handled properly, this moment becomes a turning point. Trust solidifies, tension remains alive, and her comfort increases. And when comfort and desire align, one final behavior often appears, revealing that she is not ready for the interaction to end. The sixth sign shows up near the end of the interaction, and it is one of the most honest indicators of desire because it costs her time and energy. She does not want to go home when a woman truly wants to leave. She leaves cleanly and decisively. There are no delays, no lingering, no extensions. But when she desires you, the ending stretches. She says she should go soon, just 5 more minutes. And those minutes quietly turn into half an hour or more. She may ask what you are doing next or whether you are going anywhere after this. On the surface, it sounds like small talk, but underneath it is a request for leadership. She's asking you to guide what happens next without having to say it directly. Her body language reinforces this. She sits closer, moves less, and settles into the moment instead of preparing to exit. Her voice becomes lighter, slower, and more relaxed. Her energy stays open. This is her silent message that she is comfortable, curious, and not finished with you yet. Many men misread this and end the interaction too early out of politeness or fear of overstepping. Others rush forward and break the mood. Both miss the balance required here. At this stage, attraction is present, but it is not a guarantee. Desire can exist without obligation. Understanding this distinction is critical, because treating these signs as certainty rather than invitation is where many men fail. And that leads directly to the final and most important warning you must understand if you want to handle attraction wisely. The most important warning is this: never treat these signs as a guarantee. They are signals of current interest, not a contract, not a promise, and not an obligation. A woman can show 5 or even all 6 signs in one moment and still change her mind the next day. Attraction is fluid, emotional, and influenced by context, mood, and timing. Men who assume certainty the moment they feel desired are the ones who destroy it fastest. Some women feel deep attraction but hide every signal out of fear, past experiences, or shyness. Others express desire openly but pull back if they sense pressure, entitlement, or emotional hunger. This is why maturity matters more than technique. A real man moves calmly through attraction. He does not rush to claim it, and he does not freeze in fear of losing it. He allows space for desire to breathe. Your role is not to force outcomes or collect validation. Your role is to guide the energy of the interaction with awareness and respect. You acknowledge what is present without trying to control it. You move forward without assuming ownership. This balance is what separates men who create lasting attraction from men who burn it out quickly. When hunger leads, judgment disappears. When wisdom leads, attraction unfolds naturally. Understanding these signs is not about manipulation. It is about perception. It is about seeing what is already there and responding with control, patience, and self-respect. And once you understand this warning, there is a deeper layer beneath all of it. One that explains why some men naturally read these moments, while others remain blind, no matter how many signs appear. At a deeper level, the difference between men who recognize desire and men who miss it has very little to do with intelligence or experience. It comes down to presence. Men who are disconnected from themselves are almost always disconnected from the signals women give. When your attention is trapped in your head, rehearsing what to say, worrying about outcomes, or seeking approval, you are not truly in the moment. And if you are not present, you cannot read what is happening in front of you. Women are highly sensitive to emotional awareness. They feel shifts in energy before they analyze them. A man who is grounded notices subtle changes without trying to control them. He feels when a moment slows down, when silence becomes charged, when closeness feels natural instead of forced. This is not something you learn from lines or tricks. It comes from being comfortable in yourself. Men who constantly miss signals are usually trying to get something. They want reassurance, validation, or certainty. That wanting creates noise, it blocks perception. Desire, on the other hand, responds to calm confidence and emotional steadiness. When you are not chasing an outcome, you can finally see what is already being offered. This is why awareness changes everything. Once you stop trying to force attraction and start observing it, your interactions shift naturally. You become less reactive and more intentional. And from that place, the way women respond to you begins to change in ways that feel almost effortless. But awareness alone is not enough. How you act once you see these signs determines whether attraction deepens or disappears. That is where most men still struggle, and that is what we need to explore next. Once you begin to recognize these signs, the real test is not whether you notice them, but how you respond. This is where many men fail quietly. They see attraction, feel the tension, and then immediately try to secure it. They rush to define the moment, escalate too fast, or seek reassurance through words. In doing so, they replace calm leadership with anxiety, and the energy collapses. The correct response to attraction is not urgency, and it is not passivity. It is grounded movement. You slow down internally, even if the moment feels intense. You stay present instead of performing. You allow silence without rushing to fill it. When you act, you do so smoothly, without explanation or apology. This communicates confidence more than anything you could say. Respecting boundaries is part of this, but so is not asking permission for every emotional step. There is a difference between pressure and direction. Pressure feels needy and self-serving, Direction feels safe and intentional. Women respond to the latter because it allows them to relax into the experience rather than manage it. When you misread a sign, you adjust calmly. You do not collapse or overcorrect. This emotional stability is what builds trust and attraction over time. The goal is not to extract a result from a single interaction, but to create a dynamic where desire can grow naturally. When you understand how to move once you see the signs, you stop sabotaging moments that could have unfolded beautifully. And that brings us to the final integration, where all of this comes together into a new way of seeing women. Attraction and yourself. When all of this integrates, your entire perspective on attraction changes. You stop seeing women as puzzles to solve or opportunities to chase. And you begin seeing interactions as shared emotional spaces that unfold moment by moment. Desire is no longer something you hunt for. It becomes something you recognize, respect, and respond to with composure. This shift alone places you ahead of most men. You realize that attraction is not built through clever words, bold moves, or constant effort. It is built through awareness, self-control, and emotional presence. The more you trust yourself, the less you need certainty from her. And paradoxically, that is when certainty appears more often. Women feel safest and most drawn to men who are not trying to take something from them, but are capable of holding the moment without fear. This is why the signs matter. But they are not the goal. The goal is becoming the kind of man who can read energy, respect boundaries, and move forward without forcing outcomes. When you embody that, attraction stops feeling fragile. It becomes natural and repeatable across different situations and different women. From this place, you no longer regret missed chances, because you understand when a moment is alive and when it is not. You act when action is appropriate, and you walk away calmly when it is not. That calm discernment is the real power most men never develop. And once you internalize this way of seeing, you will notice something quietly profound. You will never interact the same way again, because you are no longer blind to what has been there all along.